Australian Potash APC. Why are we here? Oh, hang on. Firstly, because people need to eat, and I want to talk to you about that in terms of population growth. Secondly, I'd like to talk to you about the non-substitutable essential fertiliser potash, and in particular the premium form of that potash, sulphate of potash. And thirdly, I'd like to talk to you about our Lake Wells project, which has got literally millions and millions of tonnes of sulphate of potash. Just think about this for a moment. Right now, the world's housing about 7.7 billion people. In 11 years' time, a further 800 million people will be looking for food. So that's an additional 6 million people per month who are looking to be fed. And 20 years after that, a further 1.2 billion people will be looking for food. But we don't think this is a Malthusian situation, because we think we can feed this number of people. But here's the kicker. Global arable land area per person is decreasing. So the primary input into food creation, arable land area per person, is decreasing. And there are a variety of reasons for this. But the fact remains that the decline in this measure that you can see on the screen here is continuing right up to now. And putting this into perspective, in 2019, we need to feed 6 people off the same area of land that was feeding 1 person in 1965. So one of the key answers to this dilemma, which is that we have a burgeoning global population and the arable land area per person is decreasing, one of the key answers is fertilisers. And fertilisers improve plant growth by providing at least 3 of the macronutrients that every plant needs: nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Without fertilisers, we're not going to be able to feed this additional 6 million people per month. And we're not going to be able to meet the demand either for the high calorific food that people are switching their preferences to. For the rest of this presentation, I'd like to focus on potash, and in particular APC's SOP project. Potash provides potassium, and SOP is the premium form of that potash. So broadly speaking, there are 2 main types of potash. There's the sulphate variety and the chloride variety. So sulphate of potash, as the name suggests, contains potassium and sulphur, which is widely regarded as the 4th macronutrient. Muriate of potash, as the name doesn't suggest, contains potassium and chlorine. So the total global demand for potash in all its varieties is between 60 and 70 million tonnes per year, and of this total, about 10%, or 6 million tonnes per annum, is the premium SOP variety of potash. So why is SOP referred to as the premium form of potash? Well, to start with, it contains potassium, and SOP contains sulphur. And importantly, it doesn't contain chlorine. And as you can see from the graph on the screen, SOP is premium priced compared to its chlorine-containing cousin. So currently, SOP enjoys a premium over MOP of about US $300 a tonne. And in Australia right now, MOP is selling for about $600 a tonne, and SOP is selling for about $1,000 a tonne. Ironically, however, given that Australia is very big in agriculture and enormous in mining, Australia's never actually had a potash mine, so we import 100% of our potash requirements. SOP is the premium potash, so the grapes that the wine you drink uses, that comes from SOP, or they need SOP. Or the bright coloured fruits, so your berries, your strawberries, your nuts, your tree nuts, your avocados, all need SOP to grow. And in case you're thinking this is some sort of flippant slide, the combined market capitalisation of the top 5 pot stocks on TSX last quarter was in excess of Canadian $41 billion. So that's an enormous industry, and that needs sulphate of potash. And there wouldn't be a farmer across the globe probably who would prefer to use MOP over SOP, apart from perhaps the palm oil guys. We import 100% of our potash into Australia, as do most countries. But Australian farmers don't use SOP because it's too expensive. But we're working with the University of Western Australia's Ag School and also some of the largest farming groups in Australia to better educate Western Australian farmers on the efficacy of SOP over MOP. We're looking to develop a strategic relationship with those people so that eventually the market for SOP in Australia begins to develop. But our strategic imperative in the short term is to supply SOP into the Chinese market, which accounts for 50% of the world's demand for SOP. How are we going to do that? Through the Lake Wells Potash Project, which is our key project. This project is about the resource, it's about logistics, and it's about the market. That's not particularly revolutionary. The Lake Wells Potash Project is a low-cost solar salt project. So solar salts traditionally, or typically, occupy the lowest quartile cost for potash production. Notionally, setting logistics aside, the Lake Wells scoping study was in line with the lowest quartile cost producers for sulphate of potash in the world. The first step in our operation is to pump the potassium-rich brines to the surface and into large evaporation ponds. Our deposit is hosted in a paleochannel system. Nearly every mining operation in Australia sources its processed water from paleochannels. Ours is no different, except the water is not for process, it's actually our ore. These are bulk projects, and WA is an enormous place. And without logistics, you can't control the largest cost centre in your potash operation. Good logistics provide you with downside price risk minimisation. Our project is located 280 kilometres from Leonora, and there were 2 bulk rail terminals at Leonora that we can access to transport our potash. Once the potash is on the rail, it can go to any number of export ports in Western Australia and can access the backhaul rate to the east coast of Australia. So we believe that logistics solution sets our project apart from its peers by virtue of being able to give us downside price risk minimisation. Oh, wrong one. In January of this year, we produced trade samples of sulphate of potash. We produced sulphate of potash at 53% K2O. The highest grade sulphate of potash that's traded globally is 53% K2O. So we've produced the highest quality potash you can produce. We've produced trade samples which are currently being test worked in China by our offtake partners and similarly by our distributors in Western Australia. How are we going to service this market? In March of 2017, Australian Potash released a scoping study into the development of the Lake Wells Potash project, and we have been conducting a definitive feasibility study on the project since that time. We can't speak here about the details of the financial model, but we can say that the Lake Wells SOP project has a low-cost borefield development, a superior logistics solution which includes rail freight at Leonora, a highly capital-efficient CapEx, allowing a reduced payback period and an impressive NPV on a 20-year mine life plus, and over 12 million tonnes of contained SOP in its resource statement. Long-term average sales price of SOP is something in the order of Australian $700 per tonne, and the cost of production is going to be governed by logistics and throughput. We're aiming for the middle of this year for the release of the findings of our DFS. And if you'd like to hear a little bit more about what we're doing in Australia on the Lake Wells sulphate of potash, please come and see me or Jay, our commercial officer, at booth B12. Thank you very much.